Hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, starring the one and only Ramon Foster. Feels like that should have like monster truck show echoes to it. Ramon, Foster.
I'm always
brought to you as always by the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are open 24/7, serving hot, fresh food. Mon, happy Friday from St. Louis.
The Lou, man, St. Lou. Welcome. Well, you're there. I'm still in Tennessee, and it is Friday, and I'm appreciative of it because I enjoy Fridays.
You know what's happening out here right now?
What's that?
Snow. People don't think of St. Louis and snow, but it's legitimately snowing out there right now.
We're supposed to have some this weekend in Tennessee, but on Sunday it's supposed to be super nice. Mm-hmm. So what is life at this point, DK? Other than the fact we celebrate Friday today, man, and I got a new cut. And no, I forget who it was, but you didn't bully me into a new haircut. Talking about
yeah, I know what you're talking about with the Hey Mon segment where we were getting ripped apart for being unkempt. It was James that did this.
Unkempt.
Yeah, it was. We were unkempt. Yeah. Unkempt, by the way, is one of those magical words that doesn't have a kempt to it. Yeah, like can you be kempt?
I don't know, but anytime you say it, it's one of those words that's always not very disrespectful, but lightly disrespectful. Unkempt.
Unkempt has that little extra, like
if you go to somebody's house and man, how was the house? And got an unkempt house, like.
Ooh, yeah. That's like you're wondering what's going on between the drywall, you know?
Exactly. But here we are, and we're both kempt.
Here we are. Let's talk some football.
I'm ready.
The Steelers have made a lot of moves, Mon. Yeah. They've plugged a lot of holes. They've gotten themselves to the point where the general manager, the outgoing general manager of the football team, could state publicly that there was only one starting position left to fill, that, of course, being safety opposite Minka. Mm-hmm. And I have a question for you, because by the time they get done, like with everything, and the time they have this draft, they are going to have a draft class. The team is not done. For as much as everybody analyzes what the team is at the moment, what exactly is the fatal flaw of this group? Like, what keeps you from saying, hey, the Steelers are good? Do you know what I'm saying here? Because that seems to have been a foregone conclusion here for months.
Yeah, what position? I'll give you, of course, I'm always give you options because it's a team that's divided of 22 people at one particular time, 11 on offense and defense. It's got to do the right thing all the time. And it's the most obvious one of them all, to me, is the quarterback position.
Of course.
I was talking to a guy in the comments. By the way, I got to get his name. Nathan is his first name. And then there was a Steeler fan that was like, contenders for what? You know, we're in the comments all the time, by the way. Yeah. But I message back, and it's always the quarterback is always looking at the position that's got to get you to the Super Bowl. You know, you either got a guy that's a damn good manager, and I say damn good because managers are just okay. You're 500 as a manager, but a damn good one can win you some games. A franchise quarterback, though, will take you to the show or keep you in the show or knocking on the show's front door, meaning AFC Championship game, winning your division consistently, being able to make comeback wins to where if it's 4 minutes left or if it's 2 minutes left, he's going to carry you down the field. Those are your guys you look for to consistently carry you to the show. So, of course, it's one of those situations with Pittsburgh right now. What is the biggest divot? It's the quarterback position, but not just him. Not just him. I hate to bully this guy all the time. Not even bully him, but Matt Canada, he's got to be the one if we don't have the guy.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought him up. I actually wasn't even going to think of him.
Yeah. That's what if we don't have the guy, the franchise guy, until Mason, until Mitch, until Dwayne, like show us they are them, because that can happen too. But it's got to be on Matt Canada, the OC, to be able to formulate a plan to either hide their deficiencies or over-highlight their assets to the team. You know what I'm saying? Like those,
I do.
That's it.
I do, and I think of this offense from the Mitch Trubisky standpoint and the different things that we've seen that he can do in his better times in Chicago. And in that one preseason game where he was unbelievable last year for Buffalo, and again, it's all we have. I'm not inflating a preseason game, but it's literally all we have that's on film. And I think to myself, okay, if you could utilize other weapons, if you could make Najee Harris a 1,500, 1,600 yard type of back, which I think we mutually believe he can be.
Yeah, I believe that, yes.
If you can utilize Pat Freiermuth especially, but also Zach Gentry as tight ends in the offense, if you can get a third wide receiver that helps free up Deontay Johnson a little bit, but also the better version of Chase Claypool, now it does come down to the coordinator. It just does.
Yeah, it does. And that's why I said two guys like I'm dying, honestly, to see what Mitch or Mason. And I think the third horse in this race, and I never count him out, is Dwayne Haskins. But I'm dying to know what they're going to look like and do. And not just that, is a lot of things go into, honestly, like Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like the way Sean Payton devised the offense for Drew Brees. Like let's think about, Peyton being able to figure out what he was going to do as a pro. Like there's a bunch of guys, the system that Tom Brady, like every quarterback pretty much is a system guy. And truth be told, that system has to work. I feel like we've seen Baker Mayfield crash out a little bit, or truthfully, Mitch Trubisky crash out a little bit, or there's questions right now with the quarterback that's currently in Chicago. What are they going to be able to do for him at quarterback? Or let it even go to Trey Lance. Like, I think we're very optimistic about him because why? The Shanahan offense.
Of course.
So now we got to look at ourselves in Pittsburgh and say, what is the Canada offense going to look like?
What is it? What is it?
We
don't know.
No. We can't use the same excuse of, well, Ben's arm or Ben's not mobile. You got young guys that are very strong, I would think, good arms and mobile. Matt Canada, let's pull this sheet back and see what's underneath, man. Let's pull the curtains back and see who's hiding. I need to see this playbook, because if you don't go get a first round quarterback, okay, if you don't go get that, then you have been a part of the picking selection, at least for Mr. Trubisky, to where it's, hey, I got to go do something with him.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Honestly, I didn't think you were going to go here. Because it hadn't even crossed my mind, and this just kills it. That actually is Matt Canada is the potential fatal flaw in this. He really is. I think more so than the quarterback, because you can make the individual pieces work. When we come back on the Ramon Foster Show, we're going to talk about a team that does have a franchise quarterback and whether or not it makes them unbeatable. You mentioned, Moan, in that opening segment, teams that have the franchise quarterbacks and the teams that can make things happen through magic, meaning that you gave him the ball with a minute and a half to go. What were you thinking? What did you think was going to happen to you, right? Yeah. And that's the Bengals. In the AFC North, that's the Bengals. And I say that with respect to what Lamar Jackson does. Lamar Jackson's a different type of quarterback who's had his own successes, obviously, in Baltimore. But Joe Burrow is that guy in Cincinnati. And I guess I feel like ever since the end of this past season, especially with the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, and feel how awkwardly that phrase is coming off the tongue, right? That they've kind of been anointed as, well, this is it. It's just their division now. Yeah. I don't know about that.
I had number one, you're right. I don't know about that, because the North, more than anything, historically has been very competitive. Even if Cleveland was bad, or if Pittsburgh wasn't, picked to be the winners of the North, Baltimore always finds a way to get a dub, or Cincinnati will get a dub here. That the strongest Cincinnati was when they were winning division, we would still find a way to split a game. It's always been that. I had a former teammate of mine at the University of Tennessee, who's a former NFL scout now, speak about, specifically out of nowhere, he brought up Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And we were talking about some draft stuff because why it's draft season. And he said to me on the radio this morning, he was just like, you know, there are certain players that you draft that are starters or you deem them as NFL starters. He was like, he said, what Cincinnati did this past year, they did it with 2 non-NFL starters, meaning these guys are going to be free agents or they're backups. They can fill in the spots. He said, well, what they did was in spite of those 2 positions, he said right guard and right tackle. This is him saying this. I'm not judging those guys. Okay. He said right guard and right tackle are not NFL starters. He was like, they won with guys that are high and above every other pick. He said Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is the reason they won. He's like,
and T. Higgins and
T.
Joe
Higgins.
Mixon.
Well,
yeah. But you're right. Okay.
But he was saying as far as picking guys that can get you over the hump.
I see.
He said Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase took them to that spot of they can be really good in spite of the right tackle and right guard. And in return, what did they do this offseason in free agency? They went and got Leo Collins, and they also got, I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I'm probably wrong, but I think they went and got another guard in free agency too. So now you got this team who we're looking at going to the Super Bowl and losing, but truth be told, may have been a little bit closer than we actually thought until Aaron Donald did Aaron Donald type things.
Yes, he did.
Shout out to Pitt. With that being said, if you look at their makeup and how this guy who's a former NFL scout, Kevin Simon, said, look, if they did what they did with 2 non-starters, if you implement 2 guys from free agency that are starters, their floor has been raised up. You know, and the addition of thinking Joe Burrow is going to grow a little bit more. You think he's going to be a better pro? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of weapons. Joe Mixon on that team. It's tough for me to even say it, but I got to respect them a little bit more, even as somebody that I don't hate Cincinnati, but I'm never cheering for them. You know, that's where they are because they have the franchise guy. They got an offense that fits his playing style. He's learned how to get down when defenders are chasing after him. There's my eyes on him, you know, but at the same time, I still say to myself, Lamar's still dangerous.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh has a damn good defense. Cleveland has a damn good defense, and whenever they unshelve Deshaun Watson, Cleveland's going to compete also.
For the record, the Bengals have signed officially 5 free agents this offseason. 3 of them are, in fact, offensive linemen, including Lyle Collins, Ted Karras, the center, Alex Kappa, the guard. They did lose C.J. Uzomah, who was a really big part of their offense as a tight end, but they signed Hayden Hurst, a guy I actually know pretty well. Was once in the Pirates system as a baseball player.
Wow.
Nick Eubanks is another one, a tight end that they picked up, but they had losses on defense too. And I always felt throughout the season, Mon, as if the Bengals defense never got the credit that it deserved for what happened in Cincinnati this past season.
No, absolutely not. And they actually, I think didn't they pay one of their D tackles also?
In terms of keeping them, yes.
Yeah. So with that being said, they're doing this, I think, more than anything on offense. They're saying to themselves, we're gonna stack and load up as far as offense goes. As many guys as we can retain, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna try to build the rest of this team throughout the draft defensively, because we know this. They're gonna have some solid guys, because as of late they've proven that they can actually find good talent. They've done that. Now, maybe Joe Burrow was bulletproof as far as being able to pick them, you know. But when it comes down to building a draft, I think it's a little bit easier to get a guy. They got this year pick 31, pick 63, 95, 136, and they got a 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. So I hate it. Cincinnati's going to be all right for a little while.
Yeah, they are. And just to get into clarify a couple of the names here, B.J. Hill is the defensive tackle.
B.J. Hill, yes.
That you're talking about that they kept, but they lost Larry Ogunjobi on the defensive side. And man, I'm sorry. So, you know, that's a glue guy.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and he went to the Bears, and that is, man.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you what Larry meant to that team.
No, and well, I'll say this, in a very strong defensive line draft this year, I'd say they're going D tackle for sure in the first round.
You would think so. They aren't unbeatable, though. They aren't.
No, they're not. Absolutely not. And they better run through the gauntlet of the AFC North for sure.
That's right. That's right. When we come back, hey, Mon. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. It's time for the best segment of all. And Rick gets us started on this one where he says, "Hey, little Foster." And DK, you mentioned TJ Watt on the show yesterday being drafted at number 30 and his being a possible high ceiling guy who was anything but a sure thing. I got a question for you. If the Steelers had been drafting at 20 that year, do you think they would have risked their number one pick on an unfinished product? Whereas conversely, picking at 20 this year, does that preclude going for a potential high ceiling guy and sticking with a safer pick? I think I get what he's asking.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you can roll the dice a little more at 30 because what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Where there's not going to be a cemented guy at 30 anyway.
No, it's not, man. And at that position right there, you're picking almost the best available. And TJ to them was probably best available. If there was somebody else there, present for the Steelers to pick, the 20th pick that year was Garrett Bowles. I don't think we were in need for a draft pick or a tackle as far as the 20th pick goes. After him, Jarrett Davis, Charles Harris, Evan Ingram, Jerron Connor, Jabril Peppers, maybe a safety, Taco Charlton. TJ probably. I'm glad you said it, man.
They're not TJ.
Oh, I'm glad you said it. Now, Evan Ingram, tight end, could have possibly been a pick for the Steelers, but a lot of these guys I'm passing on, and just the team makeup at the time was that Dejan Kovacevic is a cornerback out of Ohio State. Maybe he could have been a draft pick in 17, but I think we were still pretty solid. That was our last year in the window. TJ was a necessary part of what we needed defensively that year in general. So I don't see that being the case that they would not have picked TJ. Of these dudes, even when they're coming out, Jabril Peppers had a whole lot of fanfare when he came out of Michigan, but I don't think we were in a spot to where we need him because I'm pretty sure Mike Mitchell was still under contract and still playing fairly well at that point. I don't necessarily see them driving to go get him at that point. TJ may have been the 20th pick still for the Pittsburgh Steelers because Tack McKinley, he's solid still to this day, but he's not TJ Watt. And again, what have I always said? Pittsburgh has a way of finding their guy because their scouting department has been so solid too.
And their guy, there's a separation between, and I think this was part of what you were getting into with the scout that you referenced, that you were talking to. The guy can be the one with that super high ceiling that's maybe a little bit of a risk, or it can be like you were talking about with Jamar Chase, who's just plug and play. You get him and you don't guess, you don't wonder, that person can just parachute onto your football field and contribute the very first time they're in the huddle.
Yep. 100%, man. It is the same guy, Kevin Simon, in general, that's a former NFL scout. He also said, like picking the right guy, it's hard to get all the scouts on the same page. He said he got laughed out of the room, man, whenever he told the Cowboys, is who he worked for at the time, look, I'm putting a second round grade on Matthew Judon. Matthew Judon that year, he went 5th round to the Baltimore Ravens. And we've seen Matthew Judon give us fits in Pittsburgh. Yeah. So it's a matter of maybe Pittsburgh gets on the same page a lot better than other teams do, because he was 100% correct on Matt Judon.
Yeah. What an inexact science, though, that it is,
It ain't. And in our conversation, he was just like, imagine trying to get, he said, 30, 40 scouts on the same page to say this guy is a second rounder, or this guy's going to play within 2 years. He said the science of it is tough. I'm going to go on a ledge and say TJ would have been picked in 20th been picked 20 had we had it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can look at this draft. Honestly, Mon, I feel so 50-50 on this issue as to whether or not you get somebody who's, I'll use wide receiver again, because most of them are plug and play.
Yeah, they are.
And if you were to go get someone like a Jahan Dotson or whatever from Penn State, you're instantly better. Without waiting a single day of training camp, you're a better football team that day. However, if you go and you get yourself that defensive lineman who might have to wait a year or two, and you know that he's going to bring it at some point and be part of that next generation of the defensive front, I could be sold on that too.
I know what. And then when you get him in the building, what is he going to turn into if he has a bad day of camp? Not just a bad day, a bad week of camp. Like they crash out, or will it elevate themselves? We're lying to you if we got the correct answer. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
That's why everyone comes here for the Ramon Foster Show every day, for this level of stark honesty. Mon, it's been a good week. I'm going to fly home here in a couple hours.
Hey, enjoy yourself, man. Hey, play ball, right?
Yeah, they did that here yesterday.
It wasn't good.
It did not go very well.
I watched it. It wasn't good.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to come home and cover some other sports for a while.
Just a purge.
Exactly. Let's do it again Monday, Mon.
I'm with it. I'll be here.